Clay Travis out here, Bedminster Golf Course, getting ready for the big LIV event. We just finished the Pro-Am. I'll let you start by teeing off on me. Legendary golfer Greg Norman putting on an incredible performance with the LIV Tour. We'll get into that for a moment. How would you assess my golf game based on the swing that you got to witness?
One four-letter word. It doesn't start with F, but it starts with S. Sucks.
Yes.
Well, actually, it's five.
Five-letter word, but
anyway.
Yes. You need to add the plural because all my shots suck.
But I think I did make a comment with that golf ball kind of like flared out with no momentum or energy out to the right. My grandmother could do a better job, but God bless you for being out here.
Yeah, we had a great time. It was phenomenal. I was with Brooks Koepka, and we had such an incredible time. Mm-hmm. You guys are putting on a show. So let's start here.
Yeah.
You've golfed your entire life. Mm-hmm. What is it about LIV that you think is going to change the way golf is played, and what are you guys trying to develop with the LIV Tour?
Well, I truly believe we've unpacked virgin space.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there was an opportunity sitting there that nobody exploited for 5-6 decades.
Yes.
And as the game of golf has evolved, so have the spectators. So has social media. So people have this connectivity with the athletes, celebrities, entertainers, right? Because of social media. And we just opened up the lid to it a little bit to show the connectivity between what the fans really want and what we can deliver for the fans. What it was in the past was stuck in a box.
Yes.
Even from a player's perspective, it was mundane. It was boring. I played golf for 40 years on the tour around the world, right? It was the same old. And when you saw a breakout like a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup, or you go off and you play golf with your mates somewhere in a bit of a team competition, the whole energy was different. So we kind of surveyed the fans from around the world and we asked them what's missing. And they said team golf. And that's part of the concept or the genesis of how this all came about.
So I was talking with the guys last night at your big event in New York City, which was phenomenal, and then out on the course all day today. And they said they loved so many things about the changes that are coming to LIV, in particular, the youthful feel.
Yes.
And sometimes golf can feel very staid. If you're out there right now and you're a teenager or you're in your 20s and you're deciding, hey, what sports do I want to pursue? Maybe golf isn't the one that connects with you. Out here, blaring music. I mean, it feels like you're almost in a club at times. You've got the Chainsmokers, I believe, performing. Yeah. Last night you had Nelly. Yeah. What is it about trying to have a more youthful flavor to the golf that you think is going to attract an audience?
That's a great question. You talk about just being stuck in the box like I said a minute ago. Well, that's where golf has been. And it's the oldest demographic for spectators of any sport.
Right.
At 65 and a half years old. So we have to reach down to these younger generations. Social media, they got like a very, very short window span of attention, right?
Yes.
How do you reach down to them? You give them what they want. The music like we're hearing in the background, right? And the players, even though we got a spread of players from, a 20-year-old all the way up into their 50s, it's still reaching down to what they're looking for. And when you think about what we've done in 6 rounds of golf, right? From London to Portland, when we do the survey, it's around 40 years old now. So we've already pulled it down from 65 to 40, and we've only just started.
In your career, you were a guy who wasn't content just to be a golfer. Yeah. You became a businessman. You designed courses. You are a multi-hyphenate talent. Mm-hmm. What do you think your ability to sell to some of these younger guys about golf as a bridge to a larger business universe connects?
That's a great question, because when I talk to the players, I talk to them with 3 hats on my head, right?
Yeah.
A former player who could put bums on seats.
Yes.
And people came to watch you play golf, right?
Right.
I built a brand. I built my shark logo, my company over here. It took me a long, long period of time to do it. So I understand the nuances and the patience needed to build a brand, right? And then I'm a CEO. I was a CEO of my company, chairman of the company. So I understood all the intricacies of what you need to do to build a business model, execute on that business model, and go out there and put it to work and make sure the product works. And LIV product has worked right off the get-go. We've gone through 3, this one, Bedminster's been the 3rd. London's London, right?
Yes.
It was a long way away. We had to start somewhere, so we decided to start in London. It wasn't really in London, it was outside London. got a lot of question marks about, people coming and accepting it. Then Portland. Portland's not the probably the best place in the country to go and bring a new sporting event into the United States. And it was a knockout success.
Yeah.
The people spoke. Why? Because of the product. Now we come here to Trump Bedminster. Obviously a lot of white noise around that as well too. But you know what? The product is speaking for itself. So no matter where we've gone, Clay, we've actually had a lot of noise trying to buffet us away from us and put obstacles in front of us. But the product is starting to show its own self. And each week we try and make it a little bit better, and a little bit better, and a little bit better. So going back to the answer to your question, when I speak to the players, they know I have their back as a player.
Yes.
Because I was a player. They completely understand how do you build a franchise value, which is part of what LIV's all about, right? There's going to be 12 franchise teams. How do you build that? I've done that to a degree, right?
Right.
So I built my Shark brand, and then all of a sudden, how do you run the company? So they see me as kind of like the guy who's a bit of a safe harbor in a lot of ways because I've had the multiple experiences of doing it. And I'm not saying I'm the be-all or the end-all of it, but I do have a hell of a great C-suite of team members around me that help guide me in the right direction.
You're a capitalist. I'm a
Absolutely.
capitalist.
Yep.
Almost everybody who loves golf in the world is a capitalist.
Yep.
I love the idea of competition making every business better. As a golfer, competition made you better. PGA hasn't had competition for a long time.
53 years.
And so why do you think it took so long, and how energized are you to be sort of in a boxing match in a big competition from a business perspective?
Well, I think one of the most fierce competitive sides of me as a player was being an independent contractor.
Yeah.
And standing up for player rights.
Yes.
And I've done that for 40 years of my life. No matter where I've gone in the world, I've stood up for players' rights. Players may not have seen it, what I was trying to do in the background, but I was trying to defend them. Sevi and I did a lot of work with the home tour release rule, that we had to get for us to go back and support our home tour. This is back in the 80s now.
Yeah.
And then you go through all these other I can sit here for you for hours on end talking about it. So for me, as an independent contractor, we've always been that way. And the PGA Tour, being a monopolist, right,
Yep.
think they've got control of you and think we work for them instead of the opposite way, they work for us. They don't like disruption, right, because they've had this control factor for 53 years.
The monopolist never likes disruption.
Exactly right. A monopolist doesn't. But at the same time, it's such a easy place for us to coexist because our entire business model was built from the ground up to work within the ecosystem. And yet, if you sit back there and make a judgment call on LIV without understanding what the business model is, hey, shame on you to some degree because it is in there. If you don't want to take our phone calls, if you don't want to take our meetings, that's your decision. So if you're going to make that decision, we're going to go down the path of what we want to do in our business model. And that is, here it is, the players have spoken for. You've played with many great players today,
Yes,
right?
I did.
2 great players. And I'm going to make this comment. Coming out of Portland, I was going to the podium presentation on Sunday night. And I must have had 6 to 8 of the players' wives come up to me. And I don't know these ladies very well. 1 or 2 of them I knew. And each and every one of them came up and gave me the biggest hug and said, I've never seen my husband so happy. Thank you. And I go, drop the mic, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. You can unpack those comments in a lot of ways because these guys may have been coming home from a PGA Tour bitching,
Yeah.
and complaining.
Right.
Now they're coming home and their wives are saying they're happy as hell because they're having a good time. And that is a testament to what we're trying to achieve here with LIV, is to make golf a better, more fun place to be. And you have a choice. You can play both tours.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. You are an independent contractor. And because we're proving this out, the monopolist doesn't like it.
I know you mentioned the family angle, and I talked to a bunch of your golfers last night at the big event in New York City, and a lot of the wives were there as well. And even today at the Pro-Am, there were some kids following around their dads on the tour. And several of the players said, hey, this is going to be amazing But the biggest thing is, in addition to playing excellent golf, I can balance out all of my family responsibilities and obligations instead of having to be on the road and just being drained by the time the season is over, not being able to have a lot of energy to go out and play with the kids. And I'm sure you experienced that a lot over the years.
Yeah, and that's the downfall, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I had to play 35, 38 weeks a year in my day, and that was very, very taxing on your family, on your relationship. And, you know, at the end of the day, it didn't work out, which is sad. And you go, would have been different if we had this in our day? I don't know, but I recognize it, and that's why I wanted to do the World Tour in 1994, 95, right?
Right.
I recognized this virgin space that was sitting there that the other institutions hadn't wanted to take, not advantage of, but take from a business model. How do you unpack that? And how do you make that commercially viable and successful? Because nobody else has done it.
How much fun is it to go around and get to pick the courses that you're going to be playing at?
I love it. I mean, I'm one of my favorite part of my other business is golf course design, right? So I try to get to every golf course. I go to every virgin site of every golf course I've ever built. And the same here for LIV. I want to make sure I came to Bedminster. I wanted to understand Bedminster because I want to make sure the players, it's a brute of a golf course, but I want to make sure that the golf course is balanced for all the players so they can go and enjoy themselves. So I'm off on a global trip in 2 weeks, going to all the golf courses we've got going on around the world, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
We last night mentioned the event you did in New York City. President Trump is there, and you also have Nelly. That's a broad spectrum of potential appeal, right? And some people like both, like me, and a lot of people do. The chain smokers, the overall appearance other than just the golf. How important is the sizzle to sell the steak?
Well, it's all part and parcel of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all, again, the box has been the box.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean to say it's been wrong, but it doesn't mean to say it's been right either. All you're trying to do is take down a few walls of that box and show from chain smokers, show to Nelly. And I said to the president last night, I was so happy for him that he and the first lady went to that.
Oh, yeah.
And they loved it.
Yes.
But that tells you the energy and the position of where we're taking LIV. He's embraced it because obviously we're at his golf course. He's embraced it because he's a passionate golfer.
Yes.
And then everybody, you know, if you walked into that, Gotham Hall last night, maybe 200-300 people in there, maybe a few more. If we told you Nelly was going to play, maybe 60% would have known him. Yeah. Maybe not, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, the roof came off.
Oh,
and
it was
that's
awesome.
what it was all about, right? So it's an opportunity. We're going to do it every week at every LIV event. We want to have the entertainment factor there. Obviously, we speak to the players on a weekly basis, survey-wise. What do you like? What didn't you like? And we mold it all for them, right? We make them happy. And if we can make them happy, the caddies happy, their wives are happy, as an example, Katie bar the door, we're done.
Next year, how much better do you think you'll be with all the first events under your belt?
Next year is going to be the real start of it because we are launching the league. It's 14 events, but more importantly, we're launching the franchises.
Yes.
We got 12 principal players. They'll have their teams up and going, right? Now we're in a startup mode, right? So we're beta testing the team model. And because of the success, even in the first two events, right? The success was there, proven out. We had to accelerate it. So we had an executive meeting a week ago, and we decided, okay, we've got to launch the league next year. So by launching the league, accelerates multiple things. Accelerates our broadcast, right? We'll be going out to the broadcast market, negotiating with them in the middle of August, the middle of September, because they got to negotiate that early for next year, as you know, right? Then from a commercial standpoint, so now everybody's going to be working together to make this thing a success all the way up to the top. So I'm more excited about next year because we're actually launching the league. I'm so excited about the players understanding the true value of what their franchise is going to be and what it could be, not just next year, but you start looking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line. It's a massive opportunity. And you look at the franchise value of any league, NFL, just pick one, right? What is going on?
Nobody's lost money on a sports franchise in America in a long time.
What are the Denver Broncos
over
just
$4 billion.
Over $4 billion. Drop the mic again, right?
Yeah.
And nobody's done this in golf. So a lot of people ask me the question, do you think team golf will be successful? Look at all the other sports and leagues and Formula One and NFL and soccer and all that stuff. I think at the end of the day, because it hasn't been done before, people are very skeptical about it. But because we've put together such a good business model that's been stress tested by everybody and cannot be broken, I'm supremely confident that this franchise model is going to build its way out.
What I like to see is people who are fearless. Mm-hmm. You are clearly fearless and also can handle criticism and come through it on the other side. A guy who was playing out here today, Charles Barkley, told me years ago, obviously I'm in the opinion business and everybody's firing all the time. The guy's course that we're playing at, Donald Trump knows a little bit about that. But Barkley told me a great advice, and I think we're going to talk to him later today. But Barkley said, if you worry about the people who don't like you, then the people who do like you won't like you anymore either.
Right.
And I think it just kind of perfectly personifies the world that we live in right now, where there's so much noise, but sometimes if you just stay steadfast in what you're working on, you come through on the other side and the product speaks for itself.
Yeah, look, that's 100% correct. If you let white noise affect you, you're done. Right?
Yeah.
And I said to the people who came on board with LIV from the C-suite, the interview process, we're going to stay in our lane. We're going to stay focused.
Right.
We're going to do this. We're going to commit. We're going to don't let anything else come in and knock you off. And the point in case is the PGA Tour threw obstacles in front of us in February of this year.
Yes.
Massive obstacles. We sat back and we go, okay.
Did you anticipate them fighting as dirty as they have?
Yes. Because they did it in 94,
right.
95, right? I knew their playbook.
Yes.
Right? They're almost replicating the playbook.
Did it surprise you? I'll tell you what surprised me. And it probably shouldn't even surprise me because I'm in sports media. There are so many people who won't do basic research before they spout off.
Yeah.
And I live in that world, so it doesn't surprise me. But I'm curious from your perspective, what that's like to have that noise where it's not very informed noise. There's a difference between criticism and informed criticism.
And there's a big difference about judging somebody on lack of information.
That's right.
And I despise people like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a judgmental person, right? I judge somebody on their merits. And if I understand both sides of the story, fine. I'll make a judgment call. Okay, I liked him because of this, and I didn't like him because of this.
Yes.
We're talking a little bit about white noise here. I think what's saddened me a little bit about all this is my friends who haven't called me up and said, hey, can I understand what your business model is? And I'm talking about businessmen and women, right? And they'll come and they'll arbitrarily say, you're ruining your legacy. I'm going, do you really understand what's going on? Do you understand what the LIV business model is? Don't judge me, right? Don't judge me and my legacy on information you don't know. And that saddens me about the whole thing because when you do know the facts, I would say, as I sit here right now, most of the people who had a diametrically opposed view 9 months ago, 6 months ago, I've seen them switch.
Yeah.
I've seen them do a 180. Why have they done a 180? The product is speaking for itself. They're hearing about the players talking about it. They're hearing about the whys, the caddies. We're seeing networks coming into us. We're seeing commercial side coming in. CEOs want to come out and see what we're doing now. So all of a sudden, this paradigm shift has gone from one way to another because they're starting to understand what the product is. And it just disappoints me in our world, right? Yeah. The world where people will lay pixie dust judgment on you and say you're a failure because, or your legacy is going to be because of. And that's what disappoints me a little bit.
Especially when sometimes those people have your contact information and don't even, I mean, this is me speaking now.
Yeah.
My wife's ready to strangle people sometimes when they give quotes on me or Outkick or anything related. And they're like, if they had an issue with you, they could have just called you and asked what your opinion was instead of spouting off publicly without even having an informed opinion.
I can run down a litany of names right
you
now,
can.
right?
Yeah.
They all have my cell phone number.
Yep.
And I've actually left my number for Jay Moynihan.
Yeah.
Give me a call. I've had conversations with really high up people, and I can't figure out people, right?
Yeah.
And going back to what we were saying before, Clay, just stay in your lane, stay focused. I have to be thick-skinned, right? I was thick-skinned in 94, 95.
Yeah.
I was thick-skinned as being #1 player in the world, coming to America from Australia and playing to the level of golf that I did in this country. You have to be thick-skinned to be successful, to get yourself to where you want to be. No different than you, right? I mean, you would have had naysayers coming after you. What's he talking about? He's bambling away on nothing, right?
Yes.
And you go, okay.
I used to, when I was a practicing lawyer, I would always say, what do you wish that I had asked you that I didn't ask you? I'd finish a lot of depositions. I'd finish cases because sometimes there were things that people wanted to say that they haven't gotten an opportunity. You may have something over there that you're like, hey, tee him up. Is there anything that you wish that you could say that you haven't been asked by somebody in media and haven't gotten to say publicly?
What inspires me about waking up every day, right? Yeah, I get the LIV model. I love the game of golf. I'm a true believer in golf diplomacy. I've done it all around the world with governments in third world countries through my golf course design business. But what I get excited about waking up every day is the unknown.
Yeah.
Right? And what is the unknown in my job position today? Legal situation, unknown with what broadcasters are going to do, unknown about the CEOs and corporate worlds, what they're going to do. That excites me because you can actually strategize for that.
Yeah.
Because how you strategize for it, you build it around the fact that, I keep using the word, the product is speaking for itself. So eventually, that unknown is going to become a true known. So every day I wake up, what am I going to experience today? Or what am I going to learn today? Or what's somebody going to say today? It's just, that excites me every day.
That's fantastic. I tell my kids all the time, practice making decisions, even if you're not, like you're right now running a golf league, but look at difficult decisions that people make and try to work on your judgment skills. Because at some point, you get success based on your ability to make good decisions, right? Over time. Not going to be perfect every time, but if you make more good decisions than bad ones. NFL draft, we were talking about, if you get 52% success rate, you got a Super Bowl caliber team, right? Time after time, work on your decision-making process. And that's kind of what you're talking about. Wake up every day with the challenges and figure out how to make the best decisions you can given those uncertain times.
And sit back and listen to people talk. Listen. It doesn't take much for listen for 15 to 20 minutes in a meeting of 4 or 5 different people speaking. And they've all got different opinions, right? They've all got a different mind process. And you take all those opinions, you go, okay, do they really fit into the model of where I see where we're going? And, so I'm a big listener before I make a decision. I just don't arbitrarily say, Clay, this is the way we're going to go do it. You go do it and just get it done. Right? I don't do it. I don't operate that way. I'm a big believer in understanding everybody's thoughts, understand that thought process and how you want to execute on it, and then we'll make the decision. And another comment I'll make is I have this innate ability for some reason to see 5, 10, 12, 15 years in advance. And just before I came on here in my previous company, I did a 200-year horizon. And my people are looking at me like an idiot. How are you thinking about 200 years out?
Yeah.
I said, well, I have a brand. I want my brand to be in perpetuity. Perpetuity means I got to think about a long way out. So what do we put in today that will sustain in perpetuity? Think about that, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about what we can do today to meet the numbers for next year. Okay, that's a process. That's got to be in place in your business model, right? But think beyond where we can go and what we can do. So an investment today that might seem a little bit more astronomical, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, it might have been de minimis, but you have this massive piece up here. So
I'll give you an example of that because I try to think that way too. Elon Musk said, everybody's trying to get 10% better. And most companies can get 10% better. He said, how do you send rockets and be better at that than NASA? How do you design an electric vehicle? He said, because nobody else was looking that far into the future and trying to do it. Everybody's competing to try to be better with what the businesses are now. Very few think about what has not been accomplished before. And that's obviously what you guys are thinking about at LIV right now.
I was just going to say, right here at LIV, we're out of that box, out of that, everybody trying to compete for the same thing.
Yep.
We're out of that now. We've opened up a whole new market. And I guarantee you there's other leagues watching the outcome of what happened with LIV and the PGA Tour. They are watching this like a hawk, because we are disruptive for all the right reasons. We're disruptive for the players and for the fans. We're doing it for them, and it's going to work, and it's speaking. So, you know, I'm enjoying my life right now.
Well, we're enjoying LIV. Thank you for having us out here. We're excited to do a lot of things with you at Outkick, and good luck. This is an incredible, exciting challenge, and I think you guys are going to win. I'd like to buy stock in LIV right now if I could.
Well, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.